Wreck-It Ralph was a hit. Ralph Breaks the Internet flopped. But why? They're both stories that are centered around friendship, adventure, and finding a place in the world where you truly belong. Yet the reception from the audience was completely different. Professional critics rated them equally, but there was a huge gap in how the general public viewed both movies. Just take a look at the difference in YouTube content. Wreck-It Ralph has videos on why it's a masterpiece, and even videos on everything great about Wreck-It Ralph. But when you start searching Ralph Breaks the Internet on the YouTube search bar, you get loads, I mean loads of videos criticizing the sequel. And that is all because of 5 mistakes that could have easily been avoided. The first reason we find is in the world building. Wreck-It Ralph was introduced in a nostalgic paradise of arcade games, which brought back fond memories for everyone who watched the movie.
It becomes kind of hard to love your job when no one seems to like you for doing it.
The audience was reminiscing about the days of being in the arcade, which wasn't that far off when they declined in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Everyone remembers when they played Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and even Space Invaders with their friends after school. And even if they didn't, they'd be there watching over their kids, having fun over the weekends. Wreck-It Ralph had the arcade represented by Game Station Central, which was the connecting force of the different worlds. Each world represents a different game, and that gave the movie its charm. Multiple settings in one movie, which made the world of Wreck-It Ralph that much more unique. The first setting that was introduced to us was Ralph's home base.
I guarantee you would not be able to fix the damage that I do.
Fix-It Felix, which was inspired by Donkey Kong and Crazy Climber. Ralph's job is to destroy the building, and the player would get to control Fix-It Felix to fix the mess he made.
I'm a wrecker. I wreck things.
The second world was a shooter game, Hero's Duty. A reference to Metroid Prime and many other arcade shooter games, where they had to shoot monsters to achieve their objectives. And in this world, it was to kill aliens. The last and most exciting world was Sugar Rush, a reference to a popular game that all of us have played before, Mario Kart. The worlds in Wreck-It Ralph are small, but each brings the story forward in its own way, with stakes unique to it. More on the importance of those stakes later. First, we need to talk about the futuristic internet world Ralph Breaks the Internet was set in. The internet was one huge metropolis that consisted of multiple different buildings, each with a brand that represented them: Snapchat, Amazon, Google. They tried to bring over the concept of multiple small worlds from its predecessor, but it feels like it was just one big advertisement. There wasn't anything symbolic about the brands. They didn't move the story forward. Instead, all we had was an aha moment when we recognized them. We get brought around to a bunch of places, but honestly, it felt like we never really moved away from the main setting, the internet.
Get rid of belly fat using this one weird trick.
Ooh, I love weird tricks.
Sassy housewives, one of me.
Places such as the hub, aka the entrance of the internet. That's also where we get introduced to our first character, the search engine named Knowsmore. And we quickly learn how annoying it would be if search engines operate like this in real life.
Knowsmore help you find today.
Umbrella, Umbridge, Umami, Uma Thurman.
No.
Noah's Ark, no doubt.
We get introduced to BuzzTube, which is a social sharing platform that's a replica of YouTube, and the Darknet, which was, again, supposedly the dark web.
This area down here is what's called the Darknet. A lot of shady characters hang out down here.
The only one that stood out was Slaughter Race. It copied the playbook of Wreck-It Ralph, a different world with a hint of nostalgia. You see, Slaughter Race is known for being dangerous and intense. Basically, the child of GTA and Need for Speed. It was the only game where we really saw any part of the story progress outside of the internet. Wreck-It Ralph had a world where it was a little more relatable, and the setting of the arcade brings back memories. It looks exactly how it would have been if they stepped into one, adding to the depth of the story. On the other hand, Ralph Breaks the Internet had a world that was entirely fictional and unrelatable. No one knows what the internet looks like, except some Fairly Odd Parents viewers. But the world building was only the first mistake they made. They did something way worse with their characters. In Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph starts as an insecure, jealous, frustrated guy who has no friends and hates his life.
When Felix does a good job, he gets a medal. But are there medals for wrecking stuff really well?
And the audience probably knows someone like that in their life. Maybe it even relates to them personally for some parts. Ralph's character was built in such a way that we really root for him. He was the villain in Fix-It Felix, and that one negative stigma stuck with him even out of the game. He would get random security checks even when he was just going on about his day.
Step aside, sir. Random security check.
Twice.
Name.
The characters of Fix-It Felix would sleep in the house where the game was built, yet Ralph was relegated to the dumpster. He didn't even get a bed. As if being the villain wasn't tough enough, he wasn't even invited to Fix-It Felix's 30th anniversary.
Pac-Man? They invented Pac-Man? That cherry chick.
Even worse, he was the sole person being excluded. All Ralph wanted to do was to feel like he belonged. He just wanted a friend.
I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
And above all, he wanted to become a hero, something we could all relate to.
But how about we just take that medal and give it to Ralph for once?
The only way he was getting any validation was to get a medal, but that didn't exist in their world. He turboed and went to hero's duty, completely screwing up another person's experience at the arcade.
Ralph's gone turbo.
Come on, no one likes being disturbed when they're playing a game. He ultimately was able to obtain his medal by sneaking up to the tower. And his redemption begins. He gets flown into Sugar Rush, where he meets his future best friend. Vanellope.
You're mimicking
You're
me.
mimicking me.
Not only was she annoying, but she absolutely stole his medal.
Come back in.
We quickly learned that Vanellope just wanted to race in Sugar Rush just like everyone else, and she required a medal to compete. Vanellope had a glitch that prevented her from racing, or rather, others didn't want to race against her. The king claimed that if she won, the real-life players would be scared of the glitch she had, resulting in the game being unplugged.
I've just got Pixlexia, okay?
And that kept Vanellope alone.
Welcome to my home. I sleep in these candy wrappers. I bundle myself up like a little homeless lady.
They were both so similar, outcast in their respective worlds, and just trying their best to find a place where they belong. We see them go on a journey of growth. Ralph helped Vanellope build a car, a racetrack, and got her up to speed with racing.
Can't do that without a track.
So how'd I do?
They turned a total beginner driver into one who could compete for first prize.
Yes, I'm gonna win! I'm gonna win!
Top shelf.
Top shelf!
Ralph showed that he wasn't just a villain who broke windows. He was capable of caring for others. Their character growth was immaculate, and we got to see the two of them develop into better people and become best friends.
You better win.
On the other hand, in Ralph Breaks the Internet, the story wasn't as sweet. The complete character growth the first movie was built on was thrown out of the window. We start off with Ralph and Vanellope at Tapper's having a drink.
I think I got one in the chamber.
Ralph was over the moon, and the only thing he wanted to do was to hang out with Vanellope.
The only thing I might do different in that scenario would be not having to go to work.
While Vanellope enjoyed his company, she still felt like racing was a core integral part of her. She might have gotten bored with it a little, but at least every race was different. But it all changed when Ralph tried to inject some joy into Vanellope.
She's gonna love this.
He changed the route, and the player wasn't able to control the steering wheel, disengaging it.
Oh, Ralph, you old son of a gun. Take out a little time for a detour. Whoa, hey!
Then the shop owner tried fixing it up, but ended up breaking it.
Oh.
Sugar Rush risked an unplugging, possibly permanently, never able to go back again.
Gonna need a little.
I found one on eBay.
Really? How about that?
They learnt about what the internet is and how they could just buy a wheel off eBay, saving Vanellope's world. That's when they discovered the internet and the start of the downfall of their friendship.
Go there, get the steering wheel. We have a he'll fix your game. Everything goes back to the way it was. Boom, happily ever after.
The two went about their time and had the time of their lives bidding for the wheel.
Guy's good. He keeps coming up with numbers like it's nothing.
I have 3 1/4. Do I hear 350?
1,000!
1,000! We now have a bid of 1,000.
Way to go, kid.
Not knowing that the numbers they were shouting were bids of cold, hard cash.
Look, if you don't pay within 24 hours, you will be in violation of the unpaid item policy. You will forfeit the bid and you will lose this item.
They needed to get $27,001 in 24 hours, or Vanellope's world would be completely eradicated. That's what got them started on their journey for money, turning to a shady advertisement that promised huge cash prizes.
Come on, click here and I'll take you to my website.
They were given a mission to steal the red car from Shank in the slaughter race.
Pay 40 grand for Shank's car from a game called Slaughter Race.
The entire ordeal shocked Vanellope.
See ya. No, it was so exciting!
How could such a fun world exist? She started complimenting Shank, and that's when we started seeing the cracks.
Honestly telling me that Shank lady wasn't the coolest person you ever met?
Cool? Name one cool thing about her.
Ralph was jealous.
Wait a minute. You seen my hair isn't cool?
But it wasn't until they had another argument over how they should make their money that the friendship started deteriorating. They were making money from BuzzTube, but Vanellope wanted to be useful too.
This man is on fire.
She couldn't bear the fact that Ralph was earning all the money for her, yet she was just an NPC following along the journey. Ralph wasn't willing to split up from Vanellope.
Come on, pal. It's my game we're trying to save. I just want to get out there and be useful.
But Ralph?
What if you get lost? You're just a kid.
He turned controlling, completely reversing all the character building from the first movie.
Well, I'm bigger.
Don't be insecure, big fella.
He couldn't believe that his one friend was okay with leaving him. He knew for a fact that he would never leave Vanellope. He knew everything would be fine if they stuck together. Maybe Vanellope didn't value their friendship as much as he did.
I get to go home. So I guess that's it. I guess I just wanted to...
And when Vanellope wanted to stay in the slaughter race just a little longer, Ralph went to extremes. He went to get a virus so slaughter race would cease to exist.
Easy there, boy.
Ralph started choosing to be a villain, the very thing he was trying to run away from. We knew he was capable of being a hero, yet his entire foundation was being torn off. In Ralph Breaks the Internet, we watched the kind and loving Ralph turn back into his old self, the Ralph that was insecure, jealous, and frustrated with the world. Character regression. It felt wrong. But Ralph's regression wasn't just disappointing, it was a prelude to an even greater mistake. In Wreck-It Ralph, the stakes were personal. Ralph was fighting for one thing that we all yearn to have: a tribe, a place where we fit in and call home, a place where we belong. He was fighting for the medal that would mark him worthy of being a part of Fix-It Felix. He wanted to prove he wasn't just a villain who destroyed Windows.
I'm gonna wreck it! I mean, I'm very good at what I do. Probably the best I know.
That he was still an equal member of Fix-It Felix that deserved to be invited to the 30th anniversary of the game. Vanellope, on the other hand, wanted to race like the rest of the cast, just to be a normal person in Sugar Rush who races. Wreck-It Ralph beautifully demonstrated how they fought for what they wanted, going through tons of trials.
I'm back. Did you miss me?
Yeah.
And there were even times when Ralph was misled. But they were eventually able to make things work out. And they got it, the companionship they wanted. But in Ralph Breaks the Internet, the goal was abstract. Ralph and Vanellope would now need to buy a steering wheel from eBay so Sugar Rush doesn't get unplugged, because of a mistake that Ralph made. Fair enough, but along the way, the stakes moved. When they finally collected enough money from BuzzTube from Ralph's effort as an influencer,
You needed 27K, you got over 30 grand.
Vanellope started feeling like Slaughter Race was the place she belonged. She even enjoyed it a little more than Sugar Rush. It almost felt like all the trials and tribulations Ralph had to go through were a waste of time. They couldn't even stick to the main premise of why this journey even started. And we started closing Ralph's problem of being jealous, where he miraculously was finally okay with Vanellope wanting different ideals from him. Nearing the end of the movie, no one really cared what the story was about. The stakes that were given were all too abstract. Stakes because of their own wrongdoing instead of external influences. And worse, the stakes kept changing. Now, even if they did fix all 3 mistakes, this next mistake will leave a sour taste in everyone's mouth. Wreck-It Ralph was a movie that was timeless. The arcade was a nostalgic place for almost everyone in the theater. Games were still a big part of the audience's life, and it was a story that people would be able to pick up and still be able to feel the emotions it is trying to convey. References like the night at the museum hit close to him. The characters all come to life at night, and they live like normal human beings. They work at the arcade, go home, and spend their time chilling after work, which gets the audience thinking, what if our favorite characters lived like that too? The integration of evergreen concepts like heroes versus villains.
Nice share, Ralph.
Felix versus Ralph. No matter what game it is, there are always 2 sides to the story, and a hint of beauty was left behind, one that truly belonged to the ages of the arcades. Games weren't perfect in the 1990s. They don't get patched within the week. Glitches were a mark of honor, showing how well one knew the game, and it was a refreshing concept that was brought up in one of the main characters, Vanellope. The ability to teleport while driving? That sounds like fun, but the sequel felt like it was chasing a trend. They force trendy topics even when it doesn't make sense, trying their best to make it a cool thing. We have BuzzTube replicating the culture of going viral and pushing internet influencers. Sure, it might be relatable to the teenagers. It doesn't help that going viral has a negative connotation to it, while arcade games are glorified fun times of the past. Going off the theme of influencers probably drew more negative than positive emotions from the audience. But still, we get to watch Ralph go viral, and he finally meets the downsides of being an influencer. The toxic comments get to his head.
Stink. What? So stupid. Ralph is the worst.
We get to see Disney princesses and have their theme songs play, but there just wasn't an emotional connection that could have been drawn.
I once had a dream that I might wear a shirt.
Whoa.
It was forced upon us. Ralph Breaks the Internet felt like it was a movie that represented the toxic side of the internet. Fame chasing, toxic comments hidden behind anonymity, and how friendships have devolved from spending time with each other to spending time FaceTiming each other. It shows how everything has become worn, and it was not enjoyable. The final nail in the coffin is the climax, and it was a whole different set of emotions that were brought out from both endings.
You could be happy.
I'm already happy. Got the coolest friend in the world.
Wreck-It Ralph ended with a warm, fuzzy feeling. Ralph finally realizes that he doesn't need a medal to be a good guy.
Turns out I don't need a medal to tell me I'm a good guy.
He even recognizes that he's the villain, and became proud that he played the necessary role in the game if that meant survival for everyone. How bad can he actually be if the little girl still likes him for who he is?
'Cause if that little kid likes me, how bad can I be?
He finds what he had been looking for the entire time. He finally belonged, and the ending was open to interpretation. Maybe it was a story about true friendship, finding meaning in your work, or it was something even deeper, self-acceptance. But in Ralph Breaks the Internet, it was a completely different ending. Ralph's negativity gets spread to the entire internet, and they are against the monster. Ralph learns what it means to be a friend, and it is not to be clingy and to give Vanellope the space she needs.
No matter where she goes or where she lives, she's always gonna be our friend.
Even at the end of the story, we see how Vanellope and Ralph were voice calling, showing how their friendship evolved like most adult friendships.
Stories never disappoint. I just wish we could hang out sooner.
Yeah, me too.
You don't meet daily anymore. It becomes a once-a-month meetup. They're trying to force down that this is what friendship means, and the audience doesn't like that. It's okay to fall apart as friends, you don't have to stay friends. Heck, some of us meet our best friends daily. But trying to spoon-feed the audience the ending, that just might be taking it a little too far. Nobody appreciates it when someone forces an ending down your throat. But in this movie, we get to see how a twist villain gets developed properly with an ending that no one expected to happen. Click here to watch that video.